This is the forgotten story of the Torsslow family, burned alive for a crime they did not commit. In the dark corners of history, there are stories so tragic, so cruel, that they seem almost impossible to believe. This is one of them. A family, mother, father, and child, who became victims of fear, superstition, and brutality. Their only crime, living at a time when truth didn't matter, only suspicion did. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe for more true dark chapters from history, forgotten stories the world tried to erase, but we bring back to light. And if you're drawn to these haunting tales, give this video a like and share your thoughts in the comments. The year was 1676. In the remote province of Dalarna, Sweden, winter had come early. Snow blanketed the rolling hills, covering the tiny villages in a heavy silence. The people of Dalarna were simple folk, farmers, herders, craftsmen. Their lives were hard, their faith strong. But beneath the surface of this quiet land, fear brewed like a storm ready to break. Europe was deep in the grip of witchcraft hysteria. From Germany to Scotland, from France to Sweden, tens of thousands were accused of consorting with the devil. Most were innocent, few survived. On the edge of a dark forest stood a small wooden cottage, the humble home of the Torsslow family. Karin Torsslow was a woman of 40 winters, strong from years of working the fields, her face lined by wind and worry, but kind and gentle at heart. Her husband, Anders, was quiet and steady, a man of few words, known for his honesty and skill as a carpenter. He dreamed of one day passing his tools to his daughter, teaching her how to shape wood into beauty. Elin, just 15, was a girl on the edge of womanhood. With dark hair and a shy smile, she dreamed of a life beyond the village, perhaps to see the city, or one day start a family of her own. They lived simply but happily, finding joy in small things. But in a world ruled by suspicion, even the innocent could not escape the storm to come. It began, as so many tragedies do, with something small, something that, in another time, might have passed unnoticed. One cold night, a neighbor's child, the son of the magistrate's cousin, fell ill. Fever gripped him, his small body shaking with chills. His skin burned hot, and he mumbled strange words in his sleep, as if speaking to invisible spirits. The village healer was called, bringing herbs, charms, and whispered prayers, but nothing seemed to help. Days passed, and the boy grew weaker. Fear took hold of the boy's family. The villagers gathered outside their cottage, murmuring and exchanging worried glances. Desperation soon turned to suspicion. Who had cursed this innocent child? Who had brought this evil upon their peaceful village? It did not take long for the whispers to find their target, the Torsslow family. Why the Torsslows? The villagers whispered quietly among themselves. Karin, they said, often went alone into the woods to gather herbs and wildflowers, an old knowledge passed down from her mother and grandmother. She mostly kept to herself, not mixing much with her neighbors. People thought it strange that she didn't join in their daily talk or visit often. They spoke of Elin, too, how she liked to walk in the forest, sometimes alone for hours. The villagers thought it odd for someone so young, a girl just at the edge of womanhood. And Anders? He was quiet and distant, rarely seen at the tavern or village gatherings. To the fearful villagers, this was enough to plant suspicion. It was just before dawn when the knock came, hard, insistent, echoing through the cold morning air. Anders opened the door to find the village bailiff standing there, flanked by 2 armed men. Their breath steamed in the icy air as they spoke. Karin Torsslow, you are accused of witchcraft. You and your household will come with us. The sick boy, the one whose fevered illness had sparked fear across the village, was the nephew of the local magistrate, a man with great influence. His family, desperate and terrified, believed the villagers' whispers. Blinded by fear and grief, they demanded justice, and the Torsslow family became the target. Karin's face turned pale as snow. Anders tried to speak, tried to reason, but his words were lost as the men forced their way inside. Elin let out a cry as one of the guards gripped her arm roughly. The family was dragged from their small home, given no chance to gather their belongings or say farewell to the life they had built. They were thrown into the local dungeon, cold, damp, and dark, where the walls dripped with moisture and the air stank of rot. There they waited. The trial, if it could be called that, was nothing more than a cruel performance, a mockery of justice. There was no evidence, no proof, no witnesses who had truly seen any crime, only the frightened words of neighbors and the strange, fevered dreams of a sick child. But that was enough. The boy's family, relatives of the powerful magistrate, demanded confessions. Their influence was heavy, and their desire for revenge left no room for doubt or mercy. The magistrate was determined to deliver what his kin wanted, and he had ways of getting what he sought. First came the questions, endless, confusing, designed to trap and break. Did you attend the witch's Sabbath? Who did you consort with in the forest? Did the devil give you powers? When the Torsslow family denied every charge, the torture began. Karin was the first. They bound her hands behind her back and crushed her thumbs between iron screws. Slowly, they tightened the device, watching as her nails split and the bones cracked. She bit her lip until it bled, refusing to give them the satisfaction of hearing her scream, but they did not stop. Anders was forced to witness his wife's agony, powerless to help. Then they beat him with rods, breaking ribs, demanding he confess to sins he had never committed. But it was Elin who suffered the most. Just 15, she was strung up by her wrists until her shoulders nearly tore from their sockets. She fainted from the pain. When she awoke, they did it again. They were denied sleep, given barely enough food to stay alive. The dungeon echoed with sobbing, whispered prayers, and the sounds of suffering. Day after day, night after endless night. After what felt like an eternity of torment, Karin finally broke. Days and nights had blurred together in the darkness of the dungeon. The pain did not stop, the hunger made her weak, and the cold seemed to freeze her to the bone. Her body was broken, her spirit drained. She had no strength left to fight. "Yes," she whispered, her voice no louder than a breath. "I am a witch." The magistrate smiled, not with relief, but with cold satisfaction. This was what he had wanted, what the powerful family of the sick boy demanded. A confession, forced or not, was all they needed. Karin was made to sign the confession. Her hand shook so badly that her name was barely legible. Blood from her cracked fingers stained the paper. She named no one else, but it did not matter. The confession sealed her fate. Anders, seeing his beloved wife destroyed, felt his heart break. He could not bear to watch her suffer alone, and so he confessed as well. Elin's confession came as she drifted between pain and faintness, her slurred words written down as guilt. And so, the family's doom was sealed. The trial, if it could be called that, ended swiftly. There was no real defense, no chance to speak freely, no one willing to stand for the Torsslow family. The magistrate, his mind made up from the start, read the sentence in a cold, final voice: death. Karin and Elin were to be burned at the stake, the cruel fate reserved for women found guilty of witchcraft. Fire, they believed, would purify their souls and destroy the devil's mark. Anders was to be beheaded. His body, they declared, would then be thrown onto the flames to burn alongside the wife and daughter he loved. There was no chance for appeal. No one spoke in their defense. The villagers, once neighbors and friends, stayed silent. Fear had stolen their voices. No mercy was shown. The sentence was final. And as the family sat in their cold cell that night, they knew the dawn would bring the end. Not just of their lives, but of everything they had built and loved. On a gray, bitter morning, the village gathered in the square. A heavy silence hung in the air, broken only by the soft crackle of torches and the shuffle of uneasy feet. The Torsslow family was led out from the dungeon. Their clothes hung in tatters, stained and torn. Their faces were pale, hollow from suffering, their eyes dark with exhaustion and sorrow. Elin clung tightly to her mother's hand, her small body trembling as she tried to stay brave. Karin held her daughter close, whispering what little comfort she could. Anders walked beside them in silence, his shoulders heavy, his gaze empty. The weight of helplessness was written across his face. The stake stood ready, wood piled high beneath it. The executioner waited, axe in hand, his expression grim. The family was given a chance to speak, but what could they say? Who would listen? Elin sobbed, whispering, "I just want to go home." As the flames were lit, the villagers watched in silence. Some crossed themselves, others turned away, unable to bear the sight. A few wept quietly, too afraid to speak out. And then, it was over. The smoke rose into the sky, carrying with it the last trace of the Torsslow family, lost to fear and injustice. In the months that followed, documents quietly surfaced, revealing what some had feared all along. The Torsslows were innocent. The accusations had been built on fear, rumors, and the desperate need to find someone to blame. The sick boy survived. It was only a fever, but it was too late. The family was gone. No apology was ever made, no attempt to clear their names. The great Swedish witch hunt burned out a few years later as reason slowly replaced madness. Yet the Torsslows were never given justice. Today, the place where they died holds no marker, no monument carved with their names. Their story, like so many others, was buried by time. Victims not of any real crime, but of fear, hatred, and the human urge to accuse. In the end, the Torsslow family teaches us that darkness is not always found in shadows. Sometimes it wears familiar faces, those of our neighbors, our laws, our own fears. Their story asks us to remember, the true danger lies not in the accused, but in the accusing. Let their story not be forgotten. Let it live as a lesson for all time.